Now let's move ahead and explore how to connect to a SQL server, Microsoft SQL server. Okay. I just go to the Power BI desktop. Look here. So in this case, I just click on the get data and you have SQL server connector is already available. You just click on it and you should be knowing your SQL server name here. Okay. And also if you know the database name, it is fine, but this is optional. But you should be knowing the SQL server database. How will I know that? I just go to the start button. I just type SSMS. SSMS is an ID, Integrated Development Environment. Uh, if you open it here, so using SSMS, most of the developers, they write their SQL query there because you don't have to remember the syntax of the SQL queries. Okay, it is pretty developer friendly. Like Power BI Desktop, the SSMS, the SQL Server Management Studio also will take time to launch. Okay, you have to have patience. If you know the server name on top of your head, you can go ahead and enter the server name. That is more than sufficient. You don't have to open it. It is not mandatory to open the SQL Server Management Studio to connect to SQL Server via Power BI Desktop. Okay. Since I don't remember it on top of my head, the SQL Server name, I just opened it. And also it will help you, right? So how to get the server name. Okay. At the time of installation, if you have taken the screenshot and if you have stored it in a saved it in a Word document or so, you can refer it. Okay. Usually our guys in the scribbling pad, they note down everything. Okay. And in the sticky pad, they'll put it in the office desk, right? They put all the important connection and everything, but except the password. The server name and all not allowed, even in the office. Okay. You cannot use sticky pad because it's a confidential thing. But certain things, right, you can specify it there. Why it take this much of time? My God. So I have opened so many files. Okay, even the Python also I opened it. I'm just running few jobs behind the scene in Python, so that's why it takes time. Anyhow, now it got opened. Thank God. I just click on the connect. Look here. When you click on the connect, it will open this one. Okay, you don't have to change anything here. Simply you just go and select this one. Okay, select this one. Right click on it. Copy it. That's all. Server name. See, in few people, right, few students, they were encountering an issue while connecting to SQL Server. Though they were able to install the SQL Server Management Studio successfully. While connecting it, they were posing some issue. So in that case, I would suggest you click on this drop down thing. You can try with other options. Okay. But usually the server name which ends with SQL Express, it will work. But in some cases, rarely, I've seen it, you need to type localhost and then click on connect. But don't do any changes. You go ahead with the default thing. Okay, default thing and click on connect. If it fails, you instead of this server name, you need to specify the local host followed by the server name. You don't have to do anything. The forward slash SQL, leave it as it is. Don't disturb it. Okay. In my case, if I give like this, it will connect it. Look here, it is getting connected. Oh, I already selected this one. I just go here and paste it here. Look here. This is what my SQL server name. Okay, the next one is the database. If you know the database name, you can specify it, or else you don't have to specify it. But if you know the database, if you specify it, it will be good. For example, I know my database name. Otherwise, what will happen is in the SQL data server database, you will have in the real time scenario, right, you will have 20 or more than 20 databases will be there. To load all the 20 databases, right, and the tables, it will take longer time. It is better you specify the database name. If you don't know the database name, ask the US customers, okay? Ask them to give the database name. Everything will be available in the document, okay? Okay, the default connection, even in the case of SQL Server database, is import. I just click on OK. Let's see what happens. Look here, it opened all the tables that are available in under the sales database. Let us go and check it in the SQL Server also. Look here. So this is I already connected to my SQL Server. You just expand these databases by clicking on the plus sign. And if you see here, click on the sales. This is my database name. Okay. And if you expand the tables under the sales database, you can find all the tables that are available under this database here. Let's see here. You can see that here, right? The table name starts from AGC sales to test table. The same tables are visible from your Power BI desktop itself. AGC sales and test table, right? Everything is available here. So now what I do is I just select a few tables. I just select dim location and fact sales fact. Okay. Okay. And okay, what I do is I just select dim location and dim product or dim customer. So dim stands for dimension. Okay. Dimension, category dimension table, location dimension table. This is the naming convention. Most of the companies they use it for the dimension tables. Okay. I just click on load. So now the dimension location and dimension customer table data gets imported locally into my Power BI desktop. Great, it got loaded instantly. Look here, the dim location and dim category. These two tables I imported from my SQL server. When I expand this, I can see only two columns are there here, and dim location also only two columns are there. Good. And if I want to see the data, obviously I need to click on the data view and you select a dim category. So cat ID in category. Okay, so these are the categories are available. And the location, if I see it, oh, these are the location we sell our products. Very good. So with this, you will get to know, right? So what data are available in the data view. Okay, and when you go here, you can see it. Okay, fine. And if I go to this Power Pivot, this is called a model view. Right? So in the model view, can see all the tables whatever you imported or whatever table that you connected with the direct query. You can see it all the tables here, and here I can see that this is my folder, right? NC daily sales. I don't need this one. Look here, dim category, dim location. These two tables which I imported from a SQL server, right? We can see it in this shape here. Okay, this kind of a table shape. Okay, fine. And now what I do is I just go back to the get data and I'll click on the SQL server. Again, connect to different SQL server also. So in our case, right, I have only one SQL server installed on my laptop. So now what I do is I just connect the sales database, but this time I connect with direct query mode and click on OK. So now what I do is I just select sales fact and I click on load. Okay, even sales fact got loaded in less time, and you just go to the model view and check where the sales fact. Good, it is there. It is available here. Very good, right? But what is the difference? These three tables are the source for these three tables are SQL Server. But what are the differences? Now, these two tables look somewhat similar, but the column name, table names are different. But if you look at this sales fact table, on top of this sales fact, you can see the blue colored line, which means this table we have loaded with the direct connectivity mode. We did not imported this data locally. But these two tables, we have imported the data from our SQL server. Which means these two table data that is available locally in my laptop, whereas this file data is not downloaded here because we have used the direct connectivity mode. So in this case, in the case of direct connection type, the data will not be stored in your Power BI model since it is a direct connection to the data source. Okay. So in this case, right, what will happen is the Power BI will query the data from the data source every time. But whereas in this case, it will not query the source database. Okay. Whenever, let's say in your visual, let's say you create the pie chart or any chart, and if you drag and drop the columns into it from category and location, it will not go to your source database. Instead, it will go and pick up the data from your local system. Okay. Or in the memory. Okay. It is in memory. Okay. Once it imports the data locally into your laptop, it will get loaded into Power BI desktop memory. Whereas in the case of sales fact, it will query the data from your SQL server every time. But remember, in the case of direct connection mode, Power BI will only store the metadata of your tables. Metadata table in the sense only the column names, one table name, that's all. It will not store the data here, right? So only the metadata will be there. This is called your metadata. What is metadata? Data about data. That is what your metadata. Okay, data about data. Okay, fine. So only the meta, we or in simple term, you just think only the structure is available here. The data is available there. Okay. See, it's something like a Zoom. You just connected through Zoom, right? Only I can see your name, but you are not physically available here, right? This is a simple analogy. Okay. Yeah, the only metadata is available about you guys, but you are not physically here. The same thing here. Okay. Fine. So with this, we can understand that we can use the hybrid mode. So direct connectivity mode as well as the import mode together. Okay, this is called composite mode. What is that? This is called composite mode. Okay, so we discussed about import mode connectivity. Import mode is one of the connectivity, and direct mode is another mode of connectivity. If you use the combination of these two, that is called your composite mode. So what is the advantage of direct connectivity mode or direct query mode? It requires a less storage. Okay, it requires a less storage, and the models, right? The models, nothing but this is the model. Okay, the model don't require scheduled data refresh. For example, you just go to the report view, and I just create some visual here. For example, I just create a clustered column chart. And here what I do is in the sales fact, I just go and pick up the sales amount. I drop it here. Okay, here I need to create the relationship. Otherwise, it will not work. And okay, I just loaded the dim category. I need to load the dimension product also. I just connect. Okay, what I do is I'm going to import the data from my Excel file this time. Oh, Murugan, good that you are able to, you joined again. Good, yeah. So because I'm going little advanced topic, whether, yeah, okay, good that you're able to hear me. So look here, now this time what I do is I just go and select dim product. This is an Excel file. Remember these two these two tables are came from SQL Server, and this one also came from SQL Server, but if we use different connectivity mode. And now I'm going to import the data from Excel file. You can import different types of files with different with the direct as well as import mode. Look here, the moment when I imported the product table, a link has been automatically created. Don't worry, we'll discuss this later. This is called relationship. This link, if you see between the tables, this is a relationship. This should be there. Okay. Without the link, it will not do the filtering. Don't worry about these things. Okay, the filtering, all the things. I will explain it later. And I just create the link between these two tables manually. Product ID, product ID. I just click on this one. Good. So with the Excel file and with the SQL Server direct connectivity mode, I'm still able to connect the relationship between these two tables. And next one is I'm going to create the relationship between these two tables. In order to create the relationship between the tables, you need to use the common columns. So in this, look here, if I keep the cursor here, right, it's a product ID and product ID. This table, I have a column called product ID. In this table also I have the product ID. The common column between these two tables are product ID. So only then you should be able to connect it. And here we need to have a location key. Yes, we have a location key. I just drag and drop the location key from here to here. You need to drop it exactly on top of this location key column. So location key and location key, it will open up something like this. You don't have to worry about this. This is for just verification. Okay. It got created. Very good. So all these four tables got created with proper relationship. I just go here. Now, if I drag and drop the sales amount into this visual, it now initially I dragged and dropped only the sales amount column here. You can see a column chart. The default chart is a column chart for the numeric variable. Okay, and next one is I just want to see the location name, location while sales. So how much sales we made in Chennai, Delhi, and Hyderabad, Pune, all the things we can see it here. Okay, so in this case, right, we have used different source files. This is an Excel file, this is a SQL Server, but we imported it locally from the SQL Server. So in this case, what happens is, in the case of import mode, it requires a storage space. In your local system, you need to have more storage space. Okay, because if these tables have more data in it, the entire data from your SQL Server database will get loaded locally into your system in your Power BI desktop. Okay, hence it requires more space in your system, whereas in the case of direct connectivity mode, it doesn't require any storage. Okay, so, but in this case, for example, say now what is the time now? It is 10:30. Let's say 10 o'clock. I just I just connected to this table after 10 a.m. Okay, or let's I loaded this metadata of this table here, right, by 10 p.m. tonight. Okay, after 10 p.m., let's say some users, they entered the data, 100 records got loaded into my SQL server. Those 100 records, if I want to view it, we can see it here because this has been connected directly with the SQL server. Even if you add new records or if you modify the existing records, everything you can see it instantly. But whereas in this case, for example, you delete a specific location, specific category after 10 p.m., it will not get reflected here. But you need to, re-import it from the source system. But let's assume that if this, let's say, location has, forget about location in the case of product. Okay, let's say you introduced 100 new products today. just because of to load the 100 new products, you need to connect to the SQL server, and you need to re-import the entire data here. They say this product table, in the case of Amazon, they listed 1 billion records, 1 billion products. So 1 billion file records from the product table from the SQL server, you need to re-import it again. Since the volume is very high, it takes a lot of time, and also it requires storage in the case of import mode. In the case of import mode, after 10 p.m., whatever the records that you inserted it, right? So you need to refresh it here in order to make your the imported data in sync with your source system SQL server table theme product. You need to, after 10 p.m., whatever the new products went into this DIM product table in SQL server will need to get refreshed here. Yes, we have something called incremental refresh. You don't have to do the full refresh. You don't have to re-import entire 1 billion records. You can identify the recently loaded. I will explain how to configure the incremental refresh later point in time. Right, so those newly loaded products in your SQL server, you can re-import it here. Okay, only those records you can import, so that your DIM product table will become up to date. But the point here is, in the case of import, it requires refresh, because how otherwise how Power BI will know the new records you inserted after, or new products you inserted into DIM product table in your SQL server after 10 p.m. Right, so you need to tell Power BI, hey, some new products got inserted. For that, you need to schedule some incremental refresh every 1 hour. Go and pick up the newly inserted products from the SQL server table, and then load it into my Power BI desktop. In the case of import, it requires data refresh, whereas in the case of direct connectivity mode, it doesn't require any data refresh. Next question is, when can I go for direct connectivity mode? When can I go for import mode? If the volume of the data is less, for example, location, you know very well, at the maximum, let's say you are selling the products only in India, maximum, let's say you sell it, at the 1,000 cities in India. Okay. That's all, right? 1,000 to store the 1,000 city name, it will not take much time. It doesn't require much storage space. In that kind of situation, you can go to the SQL server, and with the import mode, you can load it. You can import it here itself. The import mode is pretty faster. What happens is, once the data get imported here, it will get cached into memory in your Power BI desktop memory. It will get cached. If anything available in memory, the performance will be faster. Right? So these two are faster. If the volume of the data is less, then you can go for import. And if the volume of the data is very high, very, very high, let's say 1 billion records are there, it is uh, it is quite illogical to import the 1 billion records into your Power BI desktop. Even if you import it, to get the up-to-date records, you need to go and refresh this file every now and then, right? So that is not practically possible. Simply, you connect it with direct connectivity mode. It will not consume any space at all. Whenever you drag and drop anything, for example, if you select this one, look here, in the y-axis, the sales amount column got plotted. In the x-axis, location name. Location name is a text, sales amount numeric, right? One text, one numeric. So here the location name. The location name comes from location table, and the sales amount comes from sales fact table. But in this case, the sales fact table we connected with the direct connected mode. What happens is, the Power BI will query the data from your SQL server every time. Okay. For example, let's you inserted 10 new records. So what will happen is, it will get refreshed automatically here. Okay, you can see this one, but you need to refresh it. Okay, to see that here. Okay, so but it will connect directly to your source system database. Okay, in the case of connectivity, but we can use all type of connectivity mode at a time, like direct connectivity mode, import mode, Excel file, different files, types of files you can use it. But one disadvantage with the direct connectivity mode is, you can perform limited transformation only. You cannot do, for example, I've shown you in the previous session, right? So we can delete the column, and we can change the data type of the column. Sometimes you may have to merge the columns, first name, last name, there are two columns separately available, first name and last name. If you want to combine these two things, merge these two things and store it in a single column, that it will not work in the case of direct connectivity mode. When it comes to import, you have a lot of flexibility. You can do you can do a lot of transformations. You don't have any limitations when it comes to transformations in the case of Power Query Editor. But direct query, you have some limitations when it comes to transformations. Okay. And also there are some limitations with DAX queries. So we will see DAX queries at a later point in time. DAX is an advanced topic. It has, in the case of DAX, a lot of built-in functions are available. With the built-in functions, you can perform advanced analytics. In the case of direct connectivity mode, you cannot use all the DAX available built-in functions. Okay, that is another disadvantage with direct connectivity mode. So it's the another thing is the direct query supports only the specific data sources like Amazon Redshift, SQL Server, and we have something called Snowflake. How many of you heard about Snowflake? Snowflake is also gaining a lot of popularity, and all of you must be knowing SAP and Oracle database, or Azure SQL database, right? And Teradata, even Oracle also you can connect it in direct connectivity mode. So in the interview they will ask you, so in direct connectivity mode, what are the source system you can connect it? SQL Server, Azure SQL Database, and SAP HANA, Oracle, Teradata. Limited, but the disadvantage, limited support for data transformation and modeling. Okay, that is the one drawback with thing. And the next one is the live connection. It is already late for you guys. Okay, I don't want to overwhelm you in the very second day itself. Tomorrow we will circle back same time, 9 p.m. tomorrow sharp. Okay, the meeting invite will remain as it is throughout the course. Okay, don't worry. Okay, simply you just join tomorrow by 9 p.m. We'll continue with the live connection, and then we will discuss about the different types of connectivity mode in detail. Okay, and then we will proceed with the live connection mode. How to create the live connection? We have something called Power BI data file. Okay, how we can connect to the Power BI PBIDS file, in live. How we can do that? That is also we will take a look at it, and then we will compare and contrast the import connectivity mode, direct connectivity mode, live connection in detail in tomorrow's session, and followed by this. If time permits, right, we will see how we can connect to OData. We'll take a look at how we can connect to OData, the REST API, right? How to connect to REST API. Okay, any questions? So from my side, I'm done. So now you understood all the different types of connectivity now itself, right, at a high level. And we will take a deep dive in tomorrow's session. Any questions so far? It's already too late. Okay, you must be tired. And those of you are yet to install SQL Server and SSMS, don't worry. This Monday we'll spend some time in helping you all these things. Okay.